You're watching Friday Night Football Fever with Pete Byrne and Carl Deffenbaugh. Presented by TCU. The hits start now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Football Fever. Pete Byrne alongside Adam Derengowski. We're going to be joined by Carl Deffenbaugh a little bit later. He is covering the Fighting Irish this weekend. But first, we start with high school football. Final night of the regular season in Indiana. They saved the best for last.
Yeah, definitely. The NIC title on the line here tonight. Penn has won 25 straight games in the NIC. Mishawaka, with a bit of a streak of their own, they have won 6 coming into tonight, and at Freed Field, Penn would come out on fire. Tyler Carpenter gets the ball on a little dump-off screen, dodges several tacklers as he would take it 40 yards for the touchdown, 7-0 Kingsmen. As that excites the crowd, Cedric Vakalahi would get the carry. Long name, long run. Cedric goes for 40 yards for the score. He would take it to the opposite corner as the Kingsmen would then lead 14-0. Kingsmen now up 21-12, trying to burn some clock. Timothy Pletcher loses the football, and Mishawaka gains some new life with the recovery. As the Cavemen marching down the field, they decide to go through the air, but it's intercepted by Penn's Casey Smith. Penn would go on to win 21-12. Kingsmen win their 33rd NIC crown.
I'm going to tell you what, in a game like this, there's no pregame pep talks or anything like that. I mean, if you're not ready to go in this game, you're probably not, your heart's not pumping, would be my guess. So, I mean, it's always been this way, and it's great atmosphere, 2 great teams battling out, and, you know, it's Northern Indiana Conference is well represented, and Coach Curtis's team is going to do well in the tournament. I know that.
So the Kingsmen keep rolling. New life, of course, for Mishawaka next week in the playoffs. After a 1-5 start, South Bend Washington has very quietly won 2 in a row tonight. They close out the regular season against South Bend St. Joe. Panthers fired up. These two programs could end up meeting each other in 2 weeks in the sectional semis. St. Joe with a statement on the first play from scrimmage. Oliver Page, the quarterback, keeps it himself, and he's going to go a long way. 55 yards before he's finally dragged down from behind, but the Indians are in business. They score a few plays later. Taj Smith right up the middle for a touchdown. 7-0 St. Joe. Washington would answer with a big play on special teams. The punt going to be fumbled by St. Joe, and Donald Swanson pounces on the football. So the Panthers have it with great field position, and they cash in. Tyler White finishing the drive with a short quarterback sneak. That would make it 7-6. But watch the extra point. Garrett Lukens into the backfield and blocks it. St. Joe would win a close one, 34-28. Washington gets Plymouth next week. St. Joe hosts Hobart.
As Marion hosting Elkhart Central, and the Blue Blazers were excited tonight. It was close the whole way. Just before the half, they would give it to Joe Phillips. He would run it all the way down to the 1-yard line before he's wrapped up and brought down. That would set up Antoine Allen, who steps up to the line with just seconds remaining in the half. He'd reach out for the second effort, the touchdown. That would tie it at 21. Close all the way. Marion would come back. A blocked extra point by Isaac Newsom is the difference. Marion winners 28-27. They would host Glenn next week. Central has a bye.
All right, good win for the Knights. Nasty weather over at Clay Field tonight. A bit of this in the area tonight. Probably taking on the Colonials. When it rains, it's good to have a good ground game. Clay's got one of those. Anthony Taborn makes it 14-0, and he would get a whole lot of touchdowns before this night was over. Shortly before the half, Taborn's going to score from short yardage. He had 5 touchdowns tonight. Count them. Clay wins at 35-0. They get New Prairie next Friday. Riley travels to Kankakee Valley. And in the NIC, Adams shuts out East Chicago Central. Wow. In the Northern Lakes, Plymouth won the league last week, so tonight no pressure on them. They do go out and beat Northwood, though, 50-28. Wawasee beats Goshen. Northridge shuts out Memorial, and Warsaw edges Concord 24-21 in double overtime. In the NSC, senior night at Jimtown as the Jimmies were hosting the Triton Trojans. The Trojans, a heavy underdog in this game, but check out what happens on the very first play from scrimmage. This, by the way, the final night ever in Northern State Conference play. They hit the football. That's Cordell Keyser. We got a loose football, and Triton pounces on it. So they're going to try and cash in, but Jimtown's defense steps up. Marcus Schreiber picks off the pass. Jimtown's got the football, but they are backed way up on their own 4-yard line. So what do? You give it to Nick Olson, block for him, and then you watch him run. Look at that, 96 yards all the way for the touchdown. Jimtown rolls 47-0.
As speaking of the Falcons, they would travel to Churubusco on a 3-game winning streak. First quarter scoreless. Busco's Adrian Springer takes it 56 yards on the run for the touchdown. That would make it 7-0. We'll speed it up for you.
He's
7-0. Yeah, Churubusco. As now 21-7 Busco. Final seconds of the first half. Fairfield, Sam Brown escapes a sack, and he would find Clay Bontrager in the end zone. 21-14 at the half. Busco would go on to win it, however, 35-20.
Let's head up north of the state line to Michigan. Berrien Springs and Edwardsburg for the conference championship in the Wolverine Conference. Third quarter, Eddie's trailing 21-20, but Dante Rosano going to take it up the middle for the touchdown. They go for 2, and the Eddies go up 28-21. A little later, Rosano rolls out, and he's going to find Isaiah Miller, who goes untouched into the corner for the touchdown. Edwardsburg finishes strong. They win at 42-21, and congrats to the Eddies, the conference champs.
Good to be an Eddie. If Niles wins tonight over Gold Lake, it would be qualified for the playoffs for the first time since 2002. I was 12, just for reference. Fourth down here, Gold Lake. Quarterback Seth Eldridge flips it to TJ Haas, who runs it 40 yards for the score. They would miss the extra point, so it would be 6-0 Gold Lake. Eldridge on the quarterback keeper this time, and he's going to feel a little pain here as David Kennedy will lay the lumber there. And on the very next play, TJ Haas would take it up the middle, bumps it to the outside for the score. That was 10 yards. They score the 2-point conversion. They'd go on to win it 24-19, spoiling Niles' hopes of making it to the playoffs this week. But they have another chance next week.
Next Friday. Other winners tonight: Michigan, Mattawan over Lakeshore 12-10. St. Joe loses at Lakeville, and Brandywine beats New Buffalo 47-9 on a 3-touchdown night for our outstanding student athlete Marty Ward as he closes in on that team record. We've got to take a quick break, but when we come back tonight, Notre Dame has arrived in Tallahassee. We check in with Carl Deffenbaugh for a closer look at tomorrow night's showdown right after this.